All right, at ease. Everybody listen up. First off, need you to do something for me. Go to streetwarriorradio.com. Do your Amazon shopping through there. I know you're going to shop on Amazon. I know it. You know how I know it? Because Amazon is worth $1.6 trillion. That's a fake number. That's fake news. But Amazon is worth a lot. You know why they're worth a lot? Because everyone shops on Amazon. You do your Amazon Prime. Your kids got Kindles. You got a Kindle. You get your book there. You get your groceries there. Everybody goes to Amazon Prime. So what I need you to do is tighten up. Go to streetwarriorradio.com. Click the Amazon click-through. Do your shopping. Nothing else. Put your info in. Check out. Wait for your Amazon Prime delivery. That's it. It's that simple. That's what I need you to do. All right? Too easy. I also want to thank Top Notch Tactics while I got your attention. Those guys' info should be up on the website coming soon. They're just a really good security company, veteran-owned, police-owned, great group of guys. They're really making some headway out there, so be on the lookout for them for all your security needs. TopNotchTactics.com is where you can find them for right now. Like I said, their link will be up on our website soon. So make sure you're going to Amazon click-through. That's really all I need y'all to do. So go ahead and relax. Big Bo out.
Supporting great causes is not only a great way to help others and help your community, but as we always say, it is a fantastic way to help yourself in the process. So that being said, why don't you head over to 22kill.com. Now, 22Kill is an organization that works to raise awareness to the veteran suicide epidemic that is plaguing our country and educate the public on PTS and other mental health issues. 22Kill also partners with other organizations nationwide to be able to provide a variety of programs and resources for veterans and first responders, if you didn't know that. These programs include traditional and non-traditional forms of therapy for both mental and physical health, with, of course, the primary focus being suicide prevention through empowerment. So head over to 22kill.com and check them out. Also, check out our friends over at the American Valor Foundation at AmericanValorFoundation.org. They are a nonprofit corporation committed to supporting our military veterans, first responders, and their families through programs of fundraising events and direct support through individuals. They also have Memorial Scholarship Fund. You can also check them out this May 4th and 5th, 2018 in the Fort Worth, Texas area. They will be at the Stockyards with the Chris Kyle Memorial Benefit. And there will be all sorts of events, including an auction, dinners, live entertainment, sporting clays, and not to mention all the other amazing things there are to do down in the Stockyards of Fort Worth. So please check them out at AmericanValorFoundation.org. And also you can check out the Chris Kyle Memorial Benefit at ChrisKyleMemorialBenefit.com. Please look at them. Enter the raffle for the truck that they have. It's freaking ridiculous. Like, I'm thinking about like stealing this thing. It's incredible. So check them out. If you feel inclined to do so, please donate to all the causes that we advertise on our website and on the podcast. Of course, speaking of the website, you can go to streetwarriorradio.com, and links to all these organizations are going to be on the left-hand column of every page. streetwarriorradio.com. This is Street Warrior Radio episode 010 with your hosts Big Bo and me, JC. On this episode, we welcome Scott Jedi Jedlinski to the podcast. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Scott, he's a mild-mannered businessman by day and a Jedi master of red dot sight systems for pistols and their application by night. Scott runs the Modern Samurai Project and travels across the country training private citizens and law enforcement in the use of red dot sights through practical application on the gun range. Scott believes, and I agree, that red dot sights on pistols is the future. Scott is also a main contributor to Primary and Secondary, which you can find on Facebook, the interwebs at primaryandsecondary.com, and through their modcast on most major podcasting platforms. In addition to all of this, the man somehow finds time to train Jiu Jitsu and run a full-time business. Scott is an incredible guy and full of useful knowledge. We cover his upbringing, his firearms training company, red dot systems, primary and secondary, and many other topics. You can find out more about Scott at modernsamuraiproject.com. So sit back, strap in, and enjoy this episode of the Street Warrior Radio podcast. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you being on. I have actually followed you for a little while on primary and secondary, and all your awesome contribution over there. I think you're the real boss over there. I think. I think Matt, he kind of just, when you show up, it's like, all right, Scott's here. We're doing this. So
That's sort of how our podcast is.
yeah. So, but yeah, man. We appreciate you being here, and we're just gonna jump right into it if you're good with that.
Yeah, man. Good to go.
All right. So, for people that are not familiar with you or anything about you, would you mind telling everybody kind of where you come from and kind of what it was like growing up as a kid?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Scott Jedlinski. My nickname is Jedi because nobody can pronounce my last name because they see the Polish name and the slant eyes and they fuck it all up. So, since being an Air Force brat growing up, people just mess it up. And, as an Air Force kid, you move every 2 years. And within the first week or so, since 1977, has always been like, bro, your nickname should be Jedi. Have you ever heard that before? No, bro, I'm good. Yeah. So, you can have worse nicknames. Anyway, so like I said,
sure.
Air Force kid, non-mil, non-LEO, lifelong martial artist growing up. It was a lot of Taekwondo because as a half Korean kid, you don't do it, you get disowned. Growing up, some karate, some Aikido because Steven Seagal, a lot of Muay Thai, a lot of
course, yeah.
Started in Jiu Jitsu in 1996 under John Lewis when I lived in Vegas. Took a 13-year hiatus, got back into it 2009. Been doing Jiu Jitsu forever, it seems. I'm a purple belt, unlike what the internet tries to make you out to be. I'm not a third degree black belt. I'm a 3-stripe purple belt. Last couple years have been kind of going lightly, just rolling with friends because the shooting thing, the teaching thing has really kind of taken off.
Right.
But
Awesome.
Happy to say, dude, I'm going back full-time training because I'm jonesing for it. Actually, starting tomorrow, man, it's going to be a good time. And I got into shooting because of jiu-jitsu. Good friend Al De Leon, who's a member of the Mobile Security Division of the State Department. How I got into shooting was that he's basically 6'7", 300 pounds pure muscle, who was a 3-year white belt.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, he's a monster. Right. But he kept on getting deployed. So he was a 3-year white belt. And I said, this simply will not do. So I started giving him private lessons until he got his blue belt. He said, bro, I need to pay you back. Do you shoot? And I said, I own a gun. So he goes, well, let me give you lessons. He started giving me lessons around 2013 because I used to play a lot of pickup basketball in college. My knees. Dude,
yeah.
It's
Big Bo and I are a couple balls.
Oh yeah, bro. And as you guys well know, man, you learn a lot on the blacktop. And as far as
a lot of
lessons as far as fighting, as far as pre-violence indicators. Anyway, so I had the unfortunate circumstance of being a flat-footed big Asian that could jump. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's fine. I'm like the I'm like the short, fat version of Dirk Nowitzki, so it's all good. My
We're gonna have
shot
to get you somebody else because Dirk's getting ready to retire. But
yeah, I'm in his prime though.
Okay.
All right. So
anyway,
you might be actually more like Dirk
so
now.
your call sign is now Handles. Okay.
yes,
All right.
yes, handles.
All right. So again, my dad retired in Vegas. Sunset Park is legendary in Vegas, but blacktop, being able to jump with Asian flat feet did not fare well. So I got bad knees, got a knee replacement in 2013. Anyway, after all those years and doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, I had to get a knee replacement. Couldn't do anything for about 3 months. So I just shot and shot and shot. And then from there, it became a passion. I guess I became pretty good at it. Where my niche is the red dot pistol, where I shoot at Silver Eagle. Right. It's an indoor range. Good people over there. Good people that work there anyway. And it's about 2 shades above a cave. And I wear glasses. I thought I was going blind. Saw a video of Steve Fisher on gun websites on YouTube shooting a red dot. And I said, hey, I'm a gear queer, right? Because I like show-your-old geese and fast cars and shit, and that red dot looks baller.
It does look pretty badass.
So got one, and I was like, holy shit, I can see. And from there, I just kind of approached it as a martial art. Did a lot of training with Steve Fisher. I'm a media. I devour media, right? And the one thing I think that kind of set me apart from everyone else is that I know from jiu-jitsu that the only way to really, again, myelinate skill to your subconscious is to drill and drill and drill and drill. Because unlike everybody, all my other male counterparts, I know that naturally that I can't fight from birth, I can't shoot from birth, and I can't drive from birth. The other thing from birth, I got all that. But anyway, so
well, that's a good link between martial arts and firearms right there. That's really a good link. The more you train,
right? Yeah.
Oh, dude, because there's no difference, right? And we'll talk about that. One of the things I say in my class is, we all grow up playing some sports and doing all these things, and we kind of get down the way the body works and physics and kinesiology, and none of that should change from sport to sport to sport until
exactly. Yeah.
We put a gun in our hand. And all that shit's got to change, right? We got to stand sideways with one arm bent and one arm straight. And we got to have our shoulders up by our ears. And it's got to be elbows over all that stuff. So that's my shtick to bringing it back to the body works the way the body works, right? So,
of course, yeah. So how did... Is that kind of what where the birth of Modern Samurai Project came about, or is it? Yeah,
it is. So, another part of my background is growing up. I was a sponsored skateboarder. I was the walking conundrum, right? I was the football playing, baseball, wrestling, yada yada guy who really loved to skate, right? So, my buddy Greg Higgins.
I can't skate.
What's that?
I said, I can't skate.
So my buddy Greg Higgins, man, he's an artist. He was actually a freestyle BMXer growing up, in high school. And this was the 80s. I graduated from high school in 88, so I'm old. He's an incredible artist. He owns a art gallery out in Portland area, I think now. But for anybody that skates, everyone has heard of Mike Vallely. He did all of Mike Vallely's graphics since his very first one. Anyway, so we're kind of talking. He's like, bro, you're doing all this shit. I mean, it's all you're doing the jiu-jitsu, you're doing the shooting, you like cars and stuff. And you're like, I don't know, man, you're like this Modern Samurai Project. And I said,
that's clever.
Yeah, I was
that's
like,
pretty cool.
That's clever. Yeah.
A homie say what?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, dude, I don't know where I'm going to take this thing. I'm kind of doing some private lessons here and there. It's like, dude, can you make me a logo? He's like, got you, man. And within a week, he came up with the logo that is today. It was kind of fun, tax deduction, right?
Right, yeah.
A couple things, start deducting ammo and stuff. And from there, it just kind of grew. So the meaning behind it is that we're all a project, right? We're all trying to get better. And the way that I look at shooting of firearms is the same way the samurai approach, with their Budo spirit, right?
Right.
You find perfection in every little thing with the utmost efficiency and grow from there.
Sure.
In my interpretation, they had three types of wit. They had hand-to-hand, they had weapons, and they had transport. Back then, it was horses.
Yeah.
Horses, right? And I used to be really into cars. I mean, I like fast cars and stuff like that. And that really isn't part of it now. That's why my logo only has H to H, which stands for hand-to-hand and off. And,
okay. All right.
And arms. But it is all in that taking that spirit of Budo and applying it to everything that you do, especially those things that are of our martial arts.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
And the logo for the Modern Samurai Project is pretty slick. I've always it kind of it pops. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. It's it's kind of fun. It's not too serious. My apologies.
Yeah.
No skulls and shit.
Right. There's no Punisher skulls. That's cool.
There's nothing like that, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. It's kind of different. It pops. And at the very least, it's a conversation starter.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So when he said, okay, so he kind of took you and described you as the Modern Samurai Project, but what led that into? Because you have a full time business, right? That you do
my day job.
Yeah, your day job.
Yeah, I'm a mortgage banker.
Right. So you've got that going on, and then you got the firearms training thing.
Yep.
What led to you doing that as a business, as to doing it on your own and actually instructing? What was the process there?
Yeah, man. So I am absolutely blessed with having people that are much smarter than I am, right? And
that usually helps.
That usually helps, and people that insist on me getting to my full potential, right? That will start with my Jiu Jitsu professor, Tony Passos, who, even though I had bad knees from the jump, right, said,
yeah,
no, dude, you've got a way of looking at things and a talent that you can stick with this thing. As far as mentors go, from my buddy Al, who, can rip a human from limb to limb, without even thinking about it. He's like, dude, the way you taught me jujitsu, if you take that into firearms, it will stick. To people in the very beginning, people like Matt Jaques, who was one of the guys I took my first firearms class with, and he kind of honed me a little bit. He said, look, man, I know you see a lot of cool guy shit on the internet. You need to stop that and focus, right? To guys like Steve Fisher, who will never let me get ahead of my headlights, right?
I believe that. Just looking at Steve Fisher, I believe.
Yeah, who has been, part of the allure of Steve Fisher is that people think that he is such like this aggressive asshole and stuff like that. But that's his shtick. And people go to a lot of his classes like, hey man, if I can get it through that guy, if I can make it through that guy's class, I can make it through anybody's class. But
is that his shtick though, or is that just how he comes across? And it's just
he's not faking it. Right? He's not faking it. That's him.
Yeah.
That it really is him, man. If you're being stupid, he'll tell you you're being stupid.
Yeah,
and believe me.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's super blunt. I mean, I actually enjoy that he actually cuts to the point and gets the message. And then if you're not getting it, it's like, okay, look, you're not getting it, dude. This is what you need to do. So it's I do enjoy that. That's a good thing actually.
And that blunt disposition has been invaluable to me in my development, right? People ask me like, if you had one talent, what do you think it would be above all else? And it's my ability to meet people, to genuinely make them feel that I'm interested in them, which I am, and for them to give me information and to be able to apply that information to make myself better, and then give them credit to then later on help them, right?
Right. That's actually, and that's actually one of the core principles of good leadership, actually.
For sure.
Yep. Yep, exactly. The whole, with the networking thing and Zig Ziglar, you can get anything you want out of life as long as you help enough people get what they want out of life, right?
Of course, yeah.
And it's reciprocity, right? It is. I have learned from this person. How can I help you? Because if we all did that, the world will be a much better place, right?
Yeah, of course, sure.
So, Steve Fisher, other incredible influences that I've had, Ernest Langdon, even though I've only taken one class from Ernest, he has so much YouTube video stuff out there, and he's willing to talk to me whenever I need to. He has been a great guy, great supporter. And then, even to my latest mentor, who is Jose Gordon. Now,
Jose Gordon's a badass.
Okay, so you do know about Jose.
I do. I've watched him. I've watched him on the modcast. Okay,
you have, yeah. The Rangerest of Rangers, right?
Yep.
That dude is, you think you're a badass? Let me show you this dude's resume, and he is.
Yeah, he's legit. He's legit for sure.
I've learned so much from him. His stories are amazing, and it seems like at his downtime, all he wants to do is be an AI for me.
Right.
And guys, you can listen to me talk, but Jose's here, so if you want me to shut up, just let him talk. You can, So they, and I can't forget, John Johnston from Ballistic Radio.
Yep.
He's a very, very good friend. He and I talk probably on a weekly basis on things, and he was another main catalyst going like, hey, dude, if you don't start teaching, you're an asshole. Right. And
yeah, I mean, if you have what it takes, if you have the gifts, and I think a lot of times we look at ourselves and we're like, there's some sort of level of apprehension or there's some sort of self-doubt there or whatever. But when you have other people encouraging you to do so, you got to take a look into it. And obviously it's worked out.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. Somebody came up with something the other day. I think it was John Correa of After Self-Protection, and he was talking about the imposter syndrome, right? That no matter how good you are, no matter how much you accomplish, those people that always not doubt yourself, but are always wondering if this is the place you should be. We kind of self-deprecate a little bit, and
of course,
and that keeps us humble, even though me and humble sometimes are not the right place, right?
not the same thing.
Exactly. But I always worry about that. Again, one of the biggest regrets in my life that I never served, whether it be in the military or LE, because I have so many friends that have done so and have learned so much from you guys. So I'm always kind of going, is this my lane? Is this not my lane? Does this help? Am I getting beyond my headlights? And
go ahead.
I
think that sometimes we because regardless of whatever subject it is, we tend to become very self-conscious of our place within that particular topic, and sometimes in that we can hurt ourselves. And it's all internal perception, and some, we talk about staying in our lane and stuff, and I've heard that a million times, and sometimes, and actually most of the time, that is correct. Some people talk outside of what they know, but it's also, you can take a person like you who has not had that may be the same experiences that I've had as a police officer, maybe the same experiences as Big Bo's had as a police officer and an Army veteran, but you can take those because you've trained yourself, you've attained the knowledge, and you still have something to contribute. And I think sometimes we look at that and people get kind of judgmental. Right, a little bit. They go like, "Oh, well, he's not this or he's not that," and that doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about. But we also internalize that at the same time. So I get where you're coming from.
We do, and it's an internal barometer again to always stay humble. I mean, I know obviously from primary and secondary, man, I know guys that have done serious work, and
there's some top tier,
right? Again, guys like Bill Blowers and guys like Chuck Pressburg, and
I love Blowers. I've never met the guy, but I just every time I see him, either on the modcast or any of his videos, he's just so he's like that guy that he's just gonna punch you in the face. You know what I mean? He has that. That's how he comes across. And I know he's probably a super nice guy, but he's just very matter of fact, point to point.
Bill is he is what you see, man. You know, there is.
Yeah, I believe
there is nothing. I mean, the first time actually, Bill and I have known each other for now like 3 years via modcasts and things of that nature. And we actually met face to face at SHOT Show, and it was like we never even lost a step, man. You know, we started busting balls straight from the jump, and it was awesome. He's the dude that is like, you know what? If you need to get whatever, you know, if you need to get taught a lesson, burn down, whatever, he's doing it. And in his head, he's singing Ice Ice Baby, because that's who he is. You know? And he is a Vanilla Ice fan. Don't let him tell you otherwise.
Hey, I love
it.
it.
You didn't see that picture on Instagram with him all vanilla iced out when he was a youngin'?
No, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. That was when he was in the Army.
He just got out, and he just got in the force, man. He was all with the high top fade.
Yeah, it was
love that dude. But like him, you know, Chuck Pressburg, Daniel Brokos. I mean, I have conversations with these guys, and I'm like, you guys know I'm like.
So Pressburg's an interesting guy, right? Because he kind of went under a different moniker for a while, I guess. And that's where the whole, you know, rolling special thing. But he's an interesting guy because you look at his background, and I know he probably, for a lot of people, probably comes off a certain way, right? And he's probably conscious of that. He probably understands that, given his position in life. But and I don't mean that in an insulting way. I mean just because he's done what he's done, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just feel like that guy is a unbelievable source of knowledge. Like, I would love to pick his brain apart on a variety of topics, just given his background.
Yeah, so, you know, I got to be very conscious of talking around Chuck, you know what I mean? But, you know, I will tell a story about the guy's done a lot. And I will tell you that at last year's Friend of Pat, you know, it was, I want to say it was Friends of Pat Rogers, you know, in Alliance, Ohio. It was about 10 o'clock. The dude had been teaching shoot house all day. And we're sitting there at the Holiday Inn Express. And this was right about the time, it was exactly right at the time when the SIG 320 with the drop safe, you know, controversy was happening. And you had guys that, like 4 guys, right? And if they're listening to this, no disrespect to those guys, but guys who, don't do anything, right? They are in no disrespect. Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm a guy.
No disrespect.
Right? No, I get you. I get you.
You know, there was no, let me put it this way. There was no advantage for Chuck to talk to these cats for 2 hours and answer all their questions regarding his opinion about training, the industry, or whatnot. And he patiently listened to all their questions, all their objections, gave them counter arguments, gave them arguments, and listened to every single one of them for 2 hours, right? The guy cares about people. He cares about people being safe, you know? So when, you know, again, the internet is what the internet is, but
you can't
if they
that.
ever took the time to actually talk about that dude and know how much he cares about this country, people getting home safe to their people.
Well, how many years of his life did he give in service to the Army?
I'm off the top of my head. I think it's going to be 25.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a quarter of a century. So, I mean, obviously the love is there. I mean, it's not. It's you know, I just think, and not to get off on a tangent about Chuck Pressburg. I mean, he's obviously an awesome guy, and I have like a ton of respect for him. But I just kind of see how, like, I think there's like 2 different Chucks, and it's like what's visually seen or what's the perception is, right? And I can understand this because I've experienced that too in my life, where you have a perception of who you are and then who you actually are, you know, when you get to know you. And I think a lot of people face that, but him in particular, because he had a little bullseye on his back for a little bit, and I'm not going to get into that, but which I feel is kind of unfair, but you know, it was what it was. So. Whatever.
Yeah,
he's a solid dude.
He absolutely is. And I got to tell you, the thing that I appreciate about Chuck is that he does not shy away from any mistakes he's made. He also,
and that's awesome.
He
that
also
goes to
doesn't
character.
shy away from the accomplishments he's made. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Why should he?
Hey, it's not bragging if you can do it, right?
I'm just saying, you know, right? I'm not going to share stories about what that guy has shared with me, even getting back to guys like Jose Gordon.
Yeah.
But it's like you hear some of these stories, and it's like, what? Should you be telling me this stuff? You know what I mean? And I appreciate it, but there's a lesson within those things, and it is as simple as, hey man, I went to the store and I got a steak and I came home and I cooked it up and it was awesome. That's what these stories are to them, right? It is that matter of fact. Except there's always a lesson from these guys, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss it. But they're always happy to share that stuff.
Sure, cool. Absolutely, and they should.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what are some challenges that you faced as a firearm instructor, and how did you overcome them?
So, challenges as a firearm instructor, not having, the operator background, I guess a little bit. That wasn't too bad because of the friends that I have, I guess.
Yeah, and that's going to help, the
and, getting back to what we talked about, I think my biggest obstacle is me going, hey, should I be doing this? I had a conversation with Steve Fisher. I'm like, look, man, there are plenty of dudes that have done legit stuff. I feel like I'm taking food out of their mouths by starting to train. He's like, do not be concerned with them. What you're doing is you are trying to get people home safe at night.
There you go.
Absolutely. You have a mission.
And you can't have too many people like that. You can't have too many people like that are looking out for everybody else. And, like you said, it's how you make the world a better place. If you're trying to better people and make sure that they get home safe, I mean, we need millions of those people.
Yep, absolutely. Now, that was probably my biggest thing, from years of helping out at the Jiu Jitsu school, with kids and adults. And, I'm an extrovert, right? If you can't tell, and I love helping people out, maybe a little bit too much at times, but dealing with, am I getting beyond my headlights? Am I taking money out of someone else's mouth? Yada, yada, yada. And, but really that's about it, man. I think, I always set parameters on what I'm trying to teach. It was very important for me to get some sort of, for lack of a better term, creds, right? So it was very methodical for me. You got to get your NRA instructor, right? You got a pulse. Can you shoot a gun without shooting someone else accidentally? You're an NRA instructor. No disrespect to my friends that work at the NRA. It's a great organization. Yada, yada. Anyway, but, doing things like working my ass off so that when I went to my earnest learning class, I got the fast coin, things like working my ass off so that I made master in USPSA in a year and 4 months. Those things were very important to me because you got to have that resume. You have to, right? My ideas did not change or supplement or morph after I got those credentials, but it just becomes an easier day for you to explain why.
Sure.
Why you should
absolutely.
take a class with me. And that's really it. And really the other thing is that self-confidence, man. Is like, hey, Steve, I just got a call from NYPD and they want to come down and take my course. Should I say that's okay? You know what I mean? Because the rest of it is shooting. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. So I hope that answers your question. I don't want to make it sound like it was too easy. You know what I mean? But
right.
The battle came well before I taught my first class.
So as kind of a side question, you brought up the NRA instructor. So I have I'm a law enforcement certified or in the state of Texas firearms instructor, right? But I've never I have thought about, and I know some people that have done the NRA instructor course. Is it? And I've heard different things. And not speaking to content of the course, but in the grand scheme of things, have you found that for somebody with, and of course you interact with a lot of LE and military guys, but is it more important for a guy that maybe doesn't have those particular career paths or experiences to obtain that, or is it something that's just so industry standardized that people look at it and go, oh, he's got an NRA, certification, he's good to go, right? Versus anything else. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm going to answer that in the reference of where I am in Virginia, in Northern Virginia. Up here, if you get, so to get your concealed carry out here, literally you have to take a course, you get a certificate. If that certificate does not have an NRA number on it, you're not getting your concealed carry.
Wow.
Gotcha. Okay.
So out here, you almost have to get it in order to be able to do it. And if you're a firearms instructor and you're not interested in teaching people how to get their concealed carry permit, what the fuck are you doing?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's number one. In the terms of, do people think you're good to go? I mean, the firearms, quotation marks industry.
Right.
Every time I look, man, I am always amazed at the size of it. I am always amazed at the number of people that seem to be making a living, right? That wear their ass on their head.
Right. Oh, it's incredible.
Right.
No, you're right.
Yeah, it is unbelievable, and all that is based on is their NRA creds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And nothing else.
And nothing else, right? But again, it is the current system. I will say that living in Northern Virginia and living 15 miles from the NRA HQ, you have the NRA training division that is doing many outstanding, wonderful things. More specifically, Andy Lander in there has done a lot to take the NRA training curriculum to the next level. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he can't control things like carry guard.
Right.
But those guys, other friends like Josh Savini at the NRA ILA, man, those guys, the NRA lately has gotten a lot of stuff, right? Because they are it.
Right.
They are the finger in which they are the back which you pat, or the finger at which you point at, right?
Well, they're so, I think they've grown to a point, and this isn't a political show, but I think they've grown to the point where politically they're a monster within themselves. So
sure,
it's like that thing it gets out there and it's become its own identity, outside of the organization.
Yep.
And no matter what, I mean, they're regardless of how anybody feels about the NRA, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Right.
In a lot of ways. And they're such an institution in our country that obviously it's easy to vilify them, and it's also easy to, champion them at the same time.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, but again, people don't, it's easy to point your finger at the NRA if you don't know people that work there. Again, I will restate this. Andy Lander in the training division does an amazing job. That dude works his ass off, and he is an amazing shooter. Guys like Josh Savini at the NRA ILA. I mean, I saw this dude doing backflips when he won something like they squashed the 10-round mag limit in some state that nobody cares about, and the dude's the dude's doing backflips. Right? There are people at the NRA working their ass off, and they deserve our support. That being said, everybody needs to be button check when they're messing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah, for sure.
That's my thing on that. I don't know how we got on that tangent. I'm sure it was my fault, but
no, it's fine. It's fine.
So,
no, I invited it, so it's good.
All right, so this is one that I want to really know the answer to. How do you handle a class where most of the students are participating, doing what they're supposed to do, but you have that one guy or that one gal who knows everything and attempts to take control of your class?
You know what? That's interesting. I don't really, so it's funny. I had my buddy call me up. He's like, so have you had that student that pays you to try and teach the class?
Right, yeah, which makes no sense.
Which makes zero sense, especially in my class, right? Which I go right from the beginning. This is not a tactics class. This is not a competition class. But guess what, everybody? Shooting is shooting. So there's going to be overlap, right? I haven't had anybody try and supersede me, mostly because I come straight off from the start saying, like, look, guys, this is a way, not the way.
You know what's hilarious is I say that exact same line at any class I've given. That's the exact same line I give.
We've actually said that in the podcast before, too.
This is just a way. This is a way.
And we could be wrong. Yeah. I could be wrong.
I absolutely could be wrong, but I will tell you what, we're going to throw metrics to this stuff. So if you decide to do it your way, roger that.
More power.
But when that girl who's never shot a red dot before is handing you your ass after a day's worth of instruction from me, maybe you should open up that mind a little bit. You know what I mean? So,
for sure.
So I don't have a lot about that. You know, as far as people giving counter arguments to things, and that does happen because I invite it. I want to talk about it. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's a good thing. That's
absolutely.
A good thing.
For example, I advocate a what's called an elevator draw, right? So straight from the point where your hands marry up to your proprioceptive index of your eye. And there are other instructors that do what I call the upside down L, right? So from the point that you marry up to your eye line and out. Okay. I say, look, there are these ways. Give them both a whirl. I advocate the straight up because in the rest of the world, the quickest path between 2 points is a straight line. You think that it's not because you just picked up a gun and you got to do an L. Let's test it out. Let's just test it out. And if you decide, because you have so many years of this up to your eye line punch out, here's how I can help you as well, right? By stealing shit from Ernest Langdon, where you're going to smooth it out in the last 10% and clean up your sight picture.
Right.
I don't care how you do it. Sure. What I care about is that you got better in this class and I showed you something to enable that. Right. And from there, whoever generally whoever you are, because I'm open like that, because dude, I'm stubborn in certain ways. Right. I just want you to get better. Right. Yeah. I want you to get better. If you get better the way I do it, the way I think is better. Awesome. Let me show you how I can show you how to do what you do and how to do that better. And if that makes you 10 to 20% faster, that's the goal. Yep. That's the goal.
Yeah, you accomplished your mission. Yeah, absolutely. So are your classes pretty mixed? I mean, do you have a pretty decent amount of private citizen versus LE versus military or veteran, or do you kind of tailor your classes for individual groups?
Yeah, no. So my classes are very mixed. Lately, it's been the LE percentage is really starting to grow. I would tell you that my class in Chicago, which was just, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It was goddamn epic, man. I mean, it is Chicago is the city of my father, and to go back there and be able to teach, man, I was kind of choked up during the whole class. Thank God my performance did not reflect that, but it was 50% civilian and 50% LE. and we're talking about a 22-person class. And I will tell you, I overbooked it by 4 people because I had a couple of dudes going like, "Hey, Jedi, you know me. I need to get in." I'm like, "Oh, okay," you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and we're talking about dudes like, I hope they don't mind that I'm dropping their names because I love them to death, though. But like Matt Little, who is the main weapons and tactics instructor for Chicago SWAT. Guys like Michael Sebastian, who's, he is, his nickname is the T-1000 Terminator. He's Chicago SWAT. Guys from Gary, Indiana. I mean, it was 50% LE, man, and it was a good time. The other 50% were from surrounding areas. Oh, I can't forget Jimmy Holford, Janesville, Wisconsin SWAT. I'll be out there in August. But the other 50% were dudes in and around the Chicagoland area, civilians who all had their concealed carry, and to them, this is serious business because this is freedom, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was great shooters. A lot of them competed, and we got some serious work done. This last class near me in Berryville, Virginia, 18 students. I'm going to say that there were 7 or 8 LE, and they're all in the same mission. The red dot pistol, it's coming.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. So.
Yeah, and I want to get into red dots in just a second, but I have a side question. So, as you grow, or as you gain more exposure to law enforcement students, based on your interactions with them and conversations you've had with them, their various levels of skill sets that you've seen, where do you think that law enforcement as a whole is either succeeding or failing when it comes to firearms training for officers?
Oh, bro, you're gonna put me on the fucking hot seat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a soapbox on that. That's probably the size of the Freedom Tower in New York City. So.
Okay. All right. So every police officer that I have shot with or that has come to my class where I have said, and again, I mean no disrespect to anybody, right? You guys,
of course,
put your shit on the line every single day, and in compared to that, I'm nobody from nobody. But just from a mechanical shooting aspect, right? Unless that officer competes USPSA on a regular basis, no one has ever impressed me. Yeah. Now, that's not to say that you're not good, right? That's not to say you're not good. Maybe I should counter that by saying that unless you compete, on a regular basis, there has never been an officer that I have not been able to make faster and more accurate within about 2 minutes.
That's impressive.
And not trying to give away trade secrets or anything, but I mean, how to be able to do it that fast? Obviously, is it just a simple mechanical thing, or is it simple fundamentals? I mean, that's at the baseline before you start dealing with movement and stuff. Okay.
So fundamentals are a funny word, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Fundamentals can be equal to 2 things. They can be equal to the body works the way the body works, or they can be equal to dogma. Right.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Okay.
For example, let's talk about locking out your elbows, which is in the instruction manual of many firearms, police department firearms, instructionals. You need to lock out your elbows so that all of it comes back into your shoulders, and that your mass body weight of your shoulders and your chest and your core can take the recoil.
Right. This whole redirection of force theory.
Exactly. Right. As for low hanging fruit, I do a lot of my stuff through analogy and metaphor. Whether or not they're good or not, you'll have to ask my students. But I say this: hey, if you went to the auto mechanic and said, "Hey, bro, I need new shock absorbers," And he said, dude, I got a special. You can either have shock absorbers or for a really cheap price, you can have 2x4s.
2x4s. All right. Yeah.
Right? What would you say?
Yeah.
They'll go, I'll take the shock absorbers. But when we go shoot, we ask for the 2x4s.
Right.
Okay? So
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
You look at every top level shooter, because shooting is shooting, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? I know you got your gamer out there, you got your tactical Timmies, yada yada, but fast, accurate rounds on target matter, right?
Sure. Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Show me the top level competitor that locks out his elbows.
Yeah, you're right.
The closest people can come is Bob Vogel's very aggressive. Yeah, he's aggressive. He ain't locking out his elbows, though.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
High level dudes, man. Look at Mike Pannone, Shannon Smith, former Ranger, Frank Proctor.
Legit guys. I mean, guys that have established reputations.
Yeah, again, and for the simpleton, guys who have shot people in the face. Yeah. Right? These guys, Jose Gordon, they don't lock out their elbows, but then you go to, then you get, a classic, officer in your class, or you look at how firearms instructors, the red shirts, teach, and everybody's locking out their elbows like they have to.
Yeah, I think it's ingrained. I think it's ingrained in there.
Well, I mean, it's what you see from every 1980s cop movie is everyone just goes straight out. And so, you've got people who've been watching cop movies their whole lives or shooting movies.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the other bane of my existence, man. It's like, dude, where'd you pick that up? I have no idea. I've never taken a lesson before. Aha, Cagney and Lacey. That's where you learned that shit from.
Cagney and Lacey. Oh my gosh.
Charlie's Angels and stuff like that. And
Charlie's Angels.
So it's basic stuff like that. And then when you get deeper into stuff, right, where you get into, one of, I didn't mention his name before. Maybe I did, but Tony Passos, man, that guy, as far as jiu-jitsu goes, he is a genius, and his niche is that he knows how the body works, right? Hopefully some of the guys out there take combatives, take jiu-jitsu. They're all familiar with, if they do jiu-jitsu, they're familiar with Atos, which is led by Andre Goval, which he is, ADC champion. He's won the last 3 super fights, yada, yada, yada. When Andre Goval fights, Tony is coaching him. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And it is amazing the way that he explains, even to black belts, on how the body works.
Yeah. Right.
And all I really did is steal all his shit and apply it to firearms training.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, that's what, that's what good instructors do. They steal other people's stuff and then,
And that's what Ernest Langdon said to me, man. I did a little block on red dots at Last Friends of Pat. And he's like, hey, dude, did you enjoy that? He's like, of course I enjoyed that. I go, well, like a third of it is your stuff. He's like, the best teachers are the best thieves.
Yeah. So, oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as you give credit. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, okay. So why red dots?
Yeah. So as we kind of like talked about before, I wear glasses. The range that I shot at, again, was didn't have the best lighting. And then when I put a JP red dot on a Smith & Wesson core, it was like baby Jesus started singing to me, because I could keep both eyes open and see what I was doing, and I would start focus and things of that nature, right? And then it just kind of developed from there. And then just practice from the jiu-jitsu part, practicing, going to my first Matt Jaques class and being the only person that could hit an AC size piece of steel beyond 50 yards, going to a Steve Fisher class and doing very, very well. And again, it just became a passion for me. You know what I mean? I am it was just a thing. Like, I don't even think I thought about it. Like, oh, maybe I should just shoot irons.
Right.
Yeah.
And I shot irons for a good year and a half, man. I gave it the good college try, and I was okay with it. Funny thing is that I went to a Matt Jaquez class, and then he has his standard is a thing called the tap out drill.
Mm-hmm.
And that 25 yards, AC side steel, shooting from behind a barricade, which is like on the right, it's kneeling. In the middle, it's squatting. On the left, it's kneeling, space, kneel, squat, blah, blah, blah. And if you hit your target twice before the next dude gets to leaves his position, you tap him and then he's out. Right?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, bro.
Actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Dude,
that does sound like a little training exercise.
I was training Jiu Jitsu 2 to 3 times a week at that time. And after that drill, I was smoked.
Oh, I bet.
Right? And he goes, hey, Scott, you brought your iron sight gun with you, right? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, you need to shoot that with this. Otherwise, it'll be unfair. I'm like, hey, bro, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Right?
That's the only way you're trying.
Exactly. So he goes, yeah, dude, with the way you, with your level of skill and the RMR, you're just going to destroy everybody. So you need to shoot your 17 with your, Terran Tactical fiber optics. I'm like, whatever, bro. Right. And I won.
Whatever.
And I won. And it was interesting because that's the first time I really shot irons. And it was a gorgeous day, right? It was at Echo Valley. It was probably like 60 degrees, overcast, light was even. And I was like, oh my God, there's my irons. Holy cow, right? And I won, and I did win. But what I learned from that whole exercise is that, man, this is a whole lot harder. And even though I can do it, should I do it? Or do I go down the path of becoming an expert on this sighting system and see where it takes me, right? Because I'm all about less work is better,
So for people that are on the fence, that have done a moderate amount of research on red dot systems for pistols versus sticking to what they know with irons, what do you tell them to get them to, at a very minimum, try it or make that switch?
Yeah, so it's a bit of an interview process when they start doing that. I mean, are you doing it because you want to be a cool guy, because you want this awesome gear on top of your gun? How's your eyesight? Yada, 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 right? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And generally if it's like some 25-year-old kid who can see everything from everything, but you just want to, have this piece of technology on it, right? Because Aaron Cowan does it. Cool. Yeah. Here are some of the obstacles that you need to understand. Okay.
Right.
For, are you going to get a benefit? Right. And we talk about that. For the guy, 35 plus, maybe they wear glasses, and your only hurdle is you think you're cheating by doing it. Well, let's have that conversation. Okay. Because no one's going to pull your man card just because it's easier.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Right. And if you think that you gain your machismo because you're doing something that's harder, well, what happens when you need to use that tool?
Yeah, you want to simplify the process.
You want to simplify the process, right? And there's also, there's a whole bunch of awesome people like, hey, what do you use on your rifle? You using those Magpul flip-up sights, bro? No, man, I got my T1. Right, I got my, I got my low power variable optic with, blah 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 with a red dot in the middle, all this other stuff. It's like, okay, so but when you get to a handgun, that's not gallant enough for you. So you got to use your irons, right?
Well, the handgun's kind of, it's not as sexy as an AR, So I think people get wrapped up in that a little bit,
trying to make it sexier.
Dude, the minute. Right, Dev Gru puts red dots on their pistols. Right,
yeah,
it'll be a discussion.
Oh yeah, because everybody's going to do it.
Because everybody's going to do it from there, right? I mean, that's the thing. Not to diminish that, because hey, not a lot of people have time to research and everything like that.
Well, it creates interest.
It does. Well, what's the SEAL Marsoc Ranger Delta guy doing? I'm gonna do that. So it is what it is. But I tell people all the time, it's like, hey man, you know what? With my class, if you want to come to my class, I'm not here to convince you to shoot a red dot. For those of you that are instructors, those of you that need to confront this because your people are very interested, I'm just going to give you the pros and cons and the workarounds or the work-throughs on it. But I'll tell you this, you shoot a red dot, you'll be better with irons. You shoot irons, you're not going to be better with a red dot.
Yeah, so it's not true reversed.
It's like, not true reversed.
Right.
Right. Just like when you shoot a pistol, if you get great with a pistol, you'll be better with your rifle. You shoot a rifle all the time, you're not going to be any better with your pistol.
That's true.
Right?
That is true.
It's the same correlation. It's the same correlation. You know what I mean? Because where you get so many benefits with the red dot, 1 focal plane versus 3 focal plane, both eyes open if you have problems with that, yada, yada, yada. That precise, unforgiving aiming system will make your presentation better with your irons. The reverse.
Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
The reverse is not true.
So in that, right, who is there a case where red dot sights would not be good for someone?
Yeah.
Like where it wouldn't be beneficial to them?
I don't know if it's not beneficial. I will tell you there are certain cases where you have to work a lot harder. If you have astigmatism, right?
Which I do, yeah.
So and you don't have the resources to do a lot of research to see what MOA dot or style or manufacturer of dot, because there is a difference in clarity in glass and things of that nature.
Sure.
If you don't have the time and the resources to do that research and you do fine with irons, maybe you're good with irons, right? If your livelihood, whether that be your competitive career or whatever like that, would not benefit from you switching to red dots, right? One of my mentors, Tim Heron, right? He's top 20 single stack USPSA Grandmaster, nicest guy on the face of the earth, shoots single stack, great vision. What would it benefit him to switching to a red dot? He's got great vision. He's killing it with irons. Why should he change? I don't. He could.
Right.
He can hit a head box alpha at 40 yards. It's faster than most people can hit shots at 7 yards. Why would that change? Right? Sure. Exactly. Why change what works? But everybody gets older. Everybody's vision deteriorates. So there will be a time. All I'm saying is like, everyone says, hey, don't get married to a tool, right? I want to, that's funny. Are we still doing phrasing? Anyway, yeah, exactly. Anyway,
yes. Of course. Yeah.
Everyone says like, hey, I need this tool for this job, this tool for this job, this tool for that job, right? Don't get married to iron sights. Don't get married to a dot for all I care. You know what I mean? Everyone thinks I can't shoot irons until they shoot against me with irons. I just prefer a red dot. It's less work for me, right? So people need to put that into perspective. So.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, switching gears a little bit, how did primary and secondary come about for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I am blessed that that happened. So I was sort of a regular on Practically Tactical. I don't know if you guys that right. I was sort of regular on that. We have kind of since parted ways on that for whatever reason that we will get into. But when primary and secondary came out, it was really the only, I'm going to say the only Facebook group that did not tolerate dumb shit, right?
Right. And that is I'm here to attest,
Right.
that is very true.
Maybe depending on who you talk to, we went a little bit overboard on that stuff, right? Maybe,
Right.
maybe,
Maybe.
maybe some of us mods were dicks at certain times, and things of that nature. But
It's funny you bring that up because there's like 40 posts from Matt that have to do with, moderators and complaints and attitudes and it's funny you bring that up.
And that will give birth to a whole bunch of tangents here, but if we try to keep that on task there, right? So Matt was on, so the guy who runs Practically Tactical, who shall remain unnamed, wanted to interview Matt, right? So I was friends with him. I was friends with Matt, because I was one of the few guys that was non-mil, non-LEO that could go into primary and secondary and ask questions and not get his ass handed to him, right?
Sure. No, yeah.
And, I said, hey, he said, hey, dude, Nick wants me to be on here. Yeah, Nick wants me on there. I was like, and Matt is an awesome dude, but surprisingly enough, Matt is not an extrovert. He's actually very much an introvert, right? And he goes,
I kind of get that impression.
And so, hey, dude, can you kind of back me up here? I'm like, yeah, sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. So that podcast went really, really well. And then halfway through, Matt Wicks, who is like the XO of primary and secondary, said, why isn't Scott a mod? He could bring, the heavily interested enthusiast side of this and counter our hard charging, duty guy thing. And from there, I became a mod, was lucky enough to be part of the modcasts. Since, my regular job is a sales guy and interviewing people and getting them out of their shells to talk to them, talk about themselves. I kind of had a dominant role in the modcast that I've been in. And it just kind of took off from there. Super blessed from that, man. The people I've met through primary and secondary, through Matt Landfair, it's been epic. And I can truly tell you, I would not have been where I'm at right now without those outstanding individuals. So
what came first, primary and secondary, or our training in the usage of red dot pistols? Or red dot sights on pistols? That did primary and secondary make that evolution, or was it something that you had going on before you got into primary and secondary?
Oh no, the red dot thing was probably 2 years before primary and secondary.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, at least 2 years. That was probably why I had some interesting stuff to say, and it.
Sure.
Yeah, it just coincided with the fact that Chuck Pressburg was a red dot guy, and via Chuck, Landfair was a red dot guy, and Bill Blowers happened to be a red dot guy, and then later on, Aaron Gallen, who joined the ranks, a red dot guy. So.
Yeah, Aaron's an interesting guy. He extremely intelligent. Like you listen to him talk, and there's probably some critics out there that thinks he just probably likes to hear himself talk. But if you actually listen to the content of what he's saying, he actually has a just immeasurable amount of knowledge to drop on a variety of subjects. But I read his white paper on red dot sights, and it was fascinating.
Yeah. I think if there were two words to describe Aaron, it would be punk rock, right? and I mean that in a super respectful way, right? Having grown up in being an 80s kid, and while I played a lot of high school sports, I was a sponsored skater, yada yada yada. Punk rock was like the Philosophers Guild, or I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say here, but he is so introspective on stuff, and I am very fortunate to be able to call that dude at any time. We share a lot of ideas. Especially he came from the thing, like when he first started Red Dots, he didn't dig them, you know?
Yeah, I remember him saying
yeah,
that. Yeah.
and you know, you can watch the video now where I think he did a review on the Atom slide with a red dot. And he was like, meh. But then he was like, you know, if I put this stuff all down on paper, 1 versus 3 focal planes, yada, 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 this kind of makes sense. So maybe I should give it another whirl and fix my own stuff, you know?
Well, he approaches it in a very, I guess, a scientific way. And what I like about it is that he's willing to change his mind. Right, based on new information. And I also like that he doesn't fit the mold of what you are inundated with when you're looking for a firearms instructor. These dudes that are constantly running out, you know, on videos looking like they just, you know, fell out of, you know, Delta, you know, or some SEAL group. And they're completely camoed out with all their tack gear and all that kind of stuff. And he wears regular clothes and he looks like a regular guy. You know, he just happens to have a very dynamic and diverse background and a lot of knowledge. And I think that's what makes it appealing to watch his videos. I've never taken one of his classes. I would love to take one of his classes. I'd love to take one of your classes. But he just seems like there seems like so much knowledge there. And it's just, it's appealing. And I actually am surprised that he does not have more followers than he does.
Yeah, no,
it's growing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really, obviously it's blowing up, but
it's growing, and I think he has a lot of people that are followers that don't admit that they're followers, right? Because he doesn't fit that mold. But if you got to think, you know, again, Army, LEO, DOD, yada yada. But the thing is that he doesn't drop that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he's not.
And the thing that he embodies is what Jose Gordon always repeats: is like, dude, I know everybody and their grandmother with a resume. I don't care what you got to say about your resume or what it says. What can you teach me? And it needs to be valid on its face. And Aaron's arguments, if you agree with them or not, you understand where he's coming from. And you've got to validate it based on his arguments, not based on his resume versus your resume. You know, and that logic is off-putting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
To a lot of people, you know. And he's just a good dude.
Sure,
he really is a good dude. And, you know, the first time I met him, I actually, you know, took his class when he came out here. We had been, you know, mod friends, you know, quote unquote, mod friends for a while, you know, paid for the class. He's like, oh, you paid for the class. I'm like, of course I'm going to pay for the class. So went out there, had a good time. You know, he crashed at my place before he picked up his plane the next day. Had a great conversation on that. He's just a regular dude. Is he that way? Is he always that didactic? Yep. He is what he is. No change in personality. There's no YouTube personality versus Facebook versus how you see him. He is who he is, and I appreciate that.
All right. So, if you could go back in time and meet the 20-year-old version of you, what advice would you give him, if any? Oh,
that's tough. I am very fortunate. So at 20, man,
yeah,
20.
That's the age. 20.
You can bump it up to 30 if you want.
30.
20 seems to be that developmental, like you're at that crossroads at the very first part of your
so that's the thing, right? So if I would have, in college, I took like a 2-year hiatus. If I didn't, would I have met my wife, Bev, who is, you know, my steering mechanism. So I can't say that was a bad decision. If I had to make a decision at 20, I would say, hey, bro, why don't you go ahead and ice them knees after paying 5 hours a ball?
Get the ice,
right? It's like, hey, dude, you don't need all that malt liquor if you just got done playing ball, right? Maybe that would have been it, you know.
This dude, malt liquor, you know, that's awesome.
You need that. Oh, you don't need that all in your life.
The 20-year-old dude would have said, "But bro, this crazy horse tastes good." Anyway. Oh
my gosh.
But 20s were a good time though, man. Like I said, my dad retired in Vegas. I was a waiter at Caesar's Palace, playing basketball, going to school. Took a couple of years off.
I feel like after now, having talked to you now for a bit, that Back then, I bet you got in a lot of trouble.
Did I get in a lot of trouble? Dude, I actually didn't. Compared to my friends, I didn't, man. When I was 20 years old, it was wake up, go to school, get out of school, take a nap, go to the restaurant in Caesar's Palace where I worked at. If I got off early, which meant about 8 o'clock, I'd be on the court by 8:30, play till 11, get some crazy horse.
Damn, you were really like getting after it.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
when
dude.
It comes to the,
I look back at it, I don't know, dude. I was kind of lazy. And then, when I wasn't going to school, it was just sleep in later a little bit. But that was it, man. On the weekends, be on the court by 9, take a break at 1, go across the street to McDonald's, throw down, a hamburger and some fries and some Coke. Yeah, dude, come back over, play till 5. If there was a party, go to the party. If there wasn't, grab some grab some pasta, make some sauce, throw down a 40, watch a movie, go to bed, be on the court by Sunday. The next Sunday.
That's back in the day when you're at the age where you can just slam carbs like.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we're getting rid of them too.
I look back at those days and I'm like, how am I? How? What is going on? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And then
I do know what you mean. That's
and then like. When did I start? I started Jiu Jitsu in '96, right? A couple of years after I married after Bev, and it took a couple of years for that first UFC videotape to get to me, and so that finally came out on VHS, right? And I was like, oh, let me look it up in the yellow pages, right? Oh, John Lewis of J Select Jiu Jitsu is right down the road. He was a Hickson Gracie brown belt at the time. I was doing all that and training jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
wow.
And that was good times, man. And then then I got promoted to branch manager in like 98, which was a good thing. And here's why it's a good thing. In 98 with John, people like Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, BJ Penn, and a whole bunch of other dudes that are legends now started training with John in 98. Yeah. And if I hadn't stopped, I would have never left Vegas and probably gotten divorced because my wife hated Vegas. So,
I can understand that.
Yeah. So, it's a good time. It's always a good time when you like start your jiu-jitsu career with one of the first 10 American black belts. Yeah. So,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So, what are some of the things or processes you do in order to make improvements in your life?
In all things in my life, or specifically?
Yeah, just in general.
Man, I listen to people that are smarter than me, right?
That usually helps. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good advice.
Yeah. And it usually starts with my wife, right?
Of course.
Number one place to start.
Number one place to start. And then I temper that with stuff that I want to do. Again, just blessed with a lot of awesome, smart people, right? My biggest struggle now is balancing with what I want to do versus what will make me the most money.
Oh, well,
right.
Yes.
Right. And I think a lot of people have that, it's funny. I was just saying this to actually Jose the other day, my struggle right now is like, I'll help somebody buy their house, which is their greatest investment in their entire life. Right. And they'll say, man, you did a great job. This was the easiest thing I've ever done. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It's like, awesome, man. Can you write me a review? Yeah, I get to that when I get to that. Right. Meanwhile, in my class, I teach somebody how to hit alpha at 5 yards, and the next thing I know, I'm their kid's godparent.
Oh, jeez.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Well, just a little side tangent. I'm actually getting ready to buy a house right now, and it is the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life.
Hey, what I always tell everybody, like, look, man, I'm only licensed in Maryland and Virginia. That being said, anybody out there that is part of the tribe, if you got questions, feel free to hit me up, man, because I want everybody to get a square deal. So
That's what's up. That's really cool, man. I might just shoot you over my contract then tonight.
Absolutely.
Midnight reading.
Absolutely. But you guys are in Tejas, right?
Yes,
we are in the
Tejas.
great state of Tejas. Yes, sir.
You guys got some awesome mortgage rules, man. Land of the free, but you guys are restricted because of old Sam Houston and card games. You guys know that history?
Not entirely. I know a little bit, but not
yeah, a lot
I'm
of
from Texas originally.
He's a transplant from Arizona.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of your mortgage laws are based on Sam Houston losing deeds to homes in card games.
That's really interesting.
That's
actually, I could probably talk about that for a while. So this might be kind of a weird question for you. But if you given your exposure to Ellie, and you have a lot of life experience, a lot of good things to say, a lot of good knowledge. If you were invited randomly to speak at a police academy upon their graduation, what advice would you give to these future cops that are about to go out there in the world?
Wow.
And I like this question for two reasons. One, because I'm 12 years into the business, so I'm old crusty fart now. But and we have a whole new generation of people. Millennials are a completely different type of person, right? Especially in law enforcement, because they have much different expectations of what it's like when they come into it versus what I had when I came into it, which was shut up and learn. But there's also another side of it. There's also the side of it where you have people that have expectations of what they feel like police officers should be or how they think police officers should conduct themselves. And I think and the reason I put this question in here was because I feel like you have a kind of a unique perspective, because though you don't have the LEO background, you do have a lot of exposure to law enforcement. You are around those personalities and you're around those personality types, and you have conversations with these people and you learn from them. They learn from you. And so that's why I kind of threw this in here. Like, if you were to stand up in front of a bunch of cops that had never worked a day on the street, they just graduated the police academy, they don't know their ass from their mouth.
Yep.
What kind of advice would you give them?
So I would ask them a question, and again, this is my frame of reference, and I know a lot of people have done a lot of epic work, right? And as part of the community that you guys are sworn to, serve and protect, I would ask those people, is this a job or a career?
That's a very good question.
If this is a job, I would beg that they reconsider.
And I would agree with you.
If this is a career, and the career is not the, yes, sir, let's go, right? The next question would be, is this a career or is it a calling? Because the best of humanity that I have discovered in my life are those law enforcement officers and military, but in the context of what we're talking about, law enforcement, the absolute best in humanity has come from those people that I know that are in law enforcement, and it is a calling.
Absolutely.
And again, I am a passionate person, and because of that, I offer my opinion, maybe unwantedly, and I get beyond my headlights, but that is a byproduct from the people that have called me up here in certain avenues and things of that nature. But when the shit hits the fan, right, and this is not a calling, you are going to fall short. Not alone in the eyes of the people that you were supposed to protect and serve, not alone in the eyes of those men that are wearing the same uniform as you are, but you're going to fall short in the eyes of God, you know? And again, you know, maybe I'm getting beyond myself, but
no, you're fine.
But falling short in front of your brothers, your family, and God, I never want to be I want to be man enough to know I am not the guy to step up in that situation. Right. And that would, you know, if I was invited to do so, and my own thoughts of self-hypocrisy did not prevent me from doing so because I did not serve in that capacity, that is the advice that I would give. So
that's good. I like that, actually. That's good.
All right, so we got a 2-part question for you right here. Okay. So the first part is, if there was an autobiography written about you, what would it be titled?
This one always messes people up.
Yeah, this is one of our favorite ones.
Yeah, no. You know what mine would be is, that dude knew how to ask the right questions from the right people.
That's pretty good.
That would be the title.
All right. And if this book was made into a motion picture, who would play you?
Oh shit, that's awesome. It would be
your pick, whoever you want.
What's that dude? What's his name? Oh shit, who played fucking Aquaman?
Jason Momoa.
Dude, come on now. Big ass Samoan Asian looking dude, man.
Yeah, he is a pretty sexy dude. I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, seriously, dude. If your wife said, "Hey, that dude's awesome, I'm going to go ahead and do him," you'd like, I get that.
Yeah,
I understand that. Yeah, I understand. I don't agree with it.
Just let me know. I'd be like, you better tell me how it is after too.
Yeah, I want. Yeah, no. Before we get divorced, I want the details.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
So I know what I'm doing wrong. Yeah. Are there any books or movies that have had an impact on your life?
Oh,
for the better.
Yeah. So, books. Going even into prose, right? Probably in high school, the biggest piece of writing that had an impact on me back then was Ralph Waldo Emerson's Self-Reliance.
Interesting.
Yeah, of which the most classic line that has served me well in my entire life was the line that society is in a conspiracy against itself. And I think we can. Yeah,
there's actually a lot of truth to that. Actually,
sure.
Nothing but truth to that. Of course, I am being raised Catholic. And despite what some people may think of that or whatever, it is a Christian-based religion, right? The Bible has had a lot of impact on myself, beyond just being Catholic and that stuff. When you move around every 2 years, you wind up reading the same books a lot, and that had a big thing. My relationship with God and everything is a very personal thing, but it is rooted, very much rooted in that. What else? Movies and stuff. It's awesome. You know what? Like, if you asked me, what are my favorite movies? Right. Well, my nickname's Jedi. So
right, it's natural. Of course.
Yeah, naturally. I am not a Star Wars. Probably a Star Wars geek, but I'm not a Star Wars freak. I can't tell you what the planetary circumference of Tatooine is, but
I know some people that can.
Exactly. Oh, believe me, bro. It's like every time like a really like hardcore Star Wars nerds comes up to me, it's like, oh my God, your nickname is Jedi. And they start like pumping out all these facts. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. I can't help you. Can't help.
So I have just one little side question real quick. You said that the Bible is one of the books that influenced your life. Which is your favorite book in the Bible? Which is your favorite one?
I'm going to give you like a really, this may not be the best answer, but Revelation. Yeah. Because it's angry.
No, I could definitely see that. No, and a long time ago, that used to be my favorite one. And then I don't know, I fell in love with the Gospels. So those are definitely some crazy books.
No, I get it, man. I get it. I can't rattle off scripture and things of that nature. But if there was a book that I had to read over and over again, it would be Revelation. But many of the gospel is very, very influential, especially when we, as proponents of the Second Amendment, try and find structure and validation in what we believe in, and we try and explain that. There's a lot of stuff. My buddy Craig, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Molziger. He is a former priest, and he now does executive protection for the DoD. Amazing resource for the warrior, quote unquote warrior, and it's fascinating. So movies, beyond that, it is surprising to a lot of people, even to myself, that I do not particularly care for this actor as a person, but I dig all his movies, and probably my favorite movie of all time is The Last Samurai.
Oh, wow.
That's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
That's a great movie.
For a 3-hour movie, man, that you can watch over and over and over again from top to bottom. And to this day, I will say this, right? That scene where they're being invaded by ninjas, that fight scene, I think that is the greatest fight scene ever captured on film.
It's pretty.
That's me, though.
It's pretty slick.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's me, though. So.
Okay. With that, how do you find motivation to keep on when things are not going well and you just want to quit?
Hate. Pure, unadulterated hate. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that actually could be appropriate depending on, hate for the situation or hate for the circumstances, whatever.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned in martial arts, right, especially with Jiu Jitsu, and by the way, Jiu Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and competitive shooting, or general would be self-defense or blah, blah, or competitive shooting. They are so parallel in so many ways, right? The first time I heard competition will get you killed in the street was not competitive shooting. It was Jiu Jitsu. Yeah. Because no one's pulling guard in the street. Blah, you need to do this. You need to chair defense and knife defense and all this other stuff. Yeah, dude, I get it. But the problem with self-defense, especially with jiu-jitsu, is that after like 6 months, that shit gets real boring, right? So you get into the competitive area of things very quickly, because then the layers and the dimensions exponentiate. And it's the same thing with competitive shooting, right? People think that in the tactical world, there's a lot of haters, right?
There's no shortage.
Yeah, there's none, right? And then you would think, well, if there was value, a guy can say, I'm a tactical shooter because I used to be law enforcement. Bro, you were a reserve cop for Winchester, Virginia. Who gives you the right to...
Oh my gosh.
Well, that's like, and I'm not knocking on any military, but that's like when somebody that did the basics, and had basic marksmanship training, and then they come out and they're like, well, I was, and they say, well, I'm in the military, and people make the assumption because they were in the military or they were law enforcement, or either way, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, that they're the end all be all when it comes to knowledge of firearms, tactics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Funny side story, like John Correa, Actor Self-Protection, loves saying that shit, right? They're like, well, what gives you the right to think you're a guru, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know you got like a million followers. Like, oh, it's like, dude, I'll show you my my release, dude. I was in the military for 8 years. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's like, dude, I was a nuclear engineer on a sub.
Right.
Why are you like saying I'm good to go now?
Yeah.
Right? My DD-214 says did not shoot guns. Right? Anyway. Right? But so that's it. But like in the shooting community where we have, or the competitive community where we have a lot more things, like if someone says they're a competitive shooter, I can go look them up.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
but
true.
we have even more fair share of our haters on that stuff because stuff can get validated. So what keeps me going is that there's always a person out there that says, nope, I can do it faster. Or, nope, you're doing it wrong, validate yourself. Or, who are you? You know? And while they may be full of crap, the self-inflection and investigation that makes me think about it makes me better. Does that make sense, guys?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And on that same leg, have you ever faced any social adversity in your life, and how did you deal with it?
Any social adversity?
Yeah, it could be anything.
No, I'm kind of counterculture and all that. You know, I mean, I can sit here and tell you that as a half Polish, half Korean kid that moved around all a lot, man, I was, you know, the struggle is real, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was like, you know what, guys, I don't have feelings, you know.
Well, cool.
Well, that might be a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm an extrovert. I care about what people say to a degree, you know what I mean? But honestly, dude, it's like growing up, if somebody was like prejudiced, like I probably didn't even notice, right? That being said, I'm a very large human. You know, I've been 6'3" since I was 16.
Wow.
So, you know, size, strength, and speed does a lot to squash racism, I guess. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that shit. You know, I make fun of people that say that stuff, especially on the Asian side. You know, it's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, I know, man. They won't allow any more Asians in Berkeley because there's way too many. Anyway. But other adversity, I'm sure there has been, man. I just try and power through that stuff, you know. My dad was a 5'5" Polish pit bull from South Chicago who was a Cub fan, and he didn't give
that's hard-nosed
two craps about anybody or anyone. And didn't shed a tear for anything, you know. The amount of, you know, we can swear on this, right? I've been swearing the whole time.
Yeah. We're way past that,
yeah,
so don't worry.
He's like, fucks. I can't grow any fucks for you. I'm from South Chicago. I kind of grew up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I wish I had a really like tear-jerking story for you guys, but
no, it's fine. It's perfect.
No.
It's just that. You know, power through that stuff, you know, because at the end of the day, dude, it's like competition, right? Where everybody gets up, and I don't care who you are, your first USPSA match, you are going to be nervous, right? Like Jim Carrillo, the famous New York PD gunfighter, 17 bodies and 19 gunfights, blah, blah, blah. Never got nervous. Did the Bianchi Cup and said it was like shit. It was like a dog shitting razor blades, right? You're going to go to your first match. You're going to be nervous as hell. But remember this. At the end of the day, no one's going to remember you. Nobody cares how you do because they're too worried about how they do. Unless you point your gun at them at the range, and then they're really going to care. But other than that, man, it does kind of create problems. But it's like life's the same way, man. Go out there, do your best, help people power through. Everybody's got their own problems. I got my own. Keep on trucking. Do some work.
Gotcha. It's good advice, actually. All right, so this is an opportunity for you to plug away, to do you. What kind of upcoming projects or events do you have?
Oh, I don't know if you guys got enough time for all that. This year has been amazing in that my schedule. This is like kind of the inaugural year. The first, I did a lot of private lessons and things of that nature. But the first big class that I think I did it one-day class for like 18 people, was July of last year. I'm getting hosted in something like 14 cities this year. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is super humbling. I won't go through them all. I'll just name like a couple that I'm doing recently, right? So I just did my one in Berryville. The next courses that are coming up is I'm doing a 2-day in Prescott, Arizona which is a couple minutes outside of Phoenix on March 24th and 25th. We're talking about surrounding myself with good people, right? On April 7th and 8th in Eagle Lake, Texas at the ranch is the Shooter Symposium.
Yep.
I
I
know about that.
Yep.
Yeah. So there are some epic people teaching at that. People like Chuck Pressburg, Steve Fisher, Bill Blowers, Jared Reston,
who's a straight up badass dude. Jared Reston.
Have you guys ever met Jared?
No, I have never met him. I've listened to him give multiple interviews, and he's just an amazing person.
That guy, and I can't put this any other way, that guy is the funniest motherfucker on the face of the earth, man. He is. I mean, it's like, bro, you've been shot in the face. If anybody has an excuse to be serious, you got to. But he is literally the funniest guy on the face of the earth, man. I mean, I'm a funny dude. That guy makes me crack up, man. Anyway, if you ever get a chance to like share a beer with him or a cigar, man, he's just a regular dude who's been through the ringer, right? And I love that guy.
Yeah, he's on my list of people to get on the podcast because his story is just amazing.
Yep. Dan Brokos, guys that don't know Dan, he's an SF legend, you know. Aaron Cowan that we talked about already. I think we said all hours. You know, you got all those badass dudes. And if you want to learn how to shoot a dot, I'll be there too.
As a side note,
I'll be there too, man. I'll be fanboying along with the rest of you guys, man, even though I call these dudes my friends. And then what do we got after that? We got the Shooter Symposium, and then after that, one day in Chesterfield, Virginia, May 19th, I'll be in Texas. Hey, where are you guys? Are you guys near Fort Worth?
Yeah, we're in the DFW area.
Okay, so you guys know Lone Star Armory?
Yes.
May 19th and 20th, guys.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah, check that out.
For
I
sure.
have to do that, yeah.
Yep. You guys can come out as my guests.
Oh, that'd be great, man.
That'd be awesome.
We appreciate that.
Yep, absolutely,
Heck yeah.
man. Absolutely. Come on out as my guest. We'll have a good time, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'll send you guys the link after we get out of here, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. And then, you know, I'll finish it out with, you know, another big honor. I've been invited to do the Ohio Officers Tactical Association.
Nice.
5 days. You know, people often say that Glock doesn't do shit. They are slaying 20 MOS pistols and various red dots to put on there. And I'm going to be teaching that for 8 hours a day for 4 days in.
Oh, your ass is going to be kicked.
Oh, dude, it's not
after
not
that's
my
over.
ass, bro. It's my knees.
Dude, shoot, just 2 days on the range for me kills me. So yeah,
Bro, my
I know.
backside is thick, man. My knees, that's the weak point, man. So if we ever get into a scrap, leg. So
sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg.
you know. So, and then a whole bunch of other stuff, man. You know, modernsamuraiproject.com is where you can go to find my classes. Actually going to add a couple of more this year because I got to ride this wave until everybody realizes, like, hey, man, this is just shooting. You know, so that,
Well,
you know, I think, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yep, that's it.
no, go ahead.
You know, I don't want to turn to the Oscars and stuff like that, but, you know, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsors, F3 Tactical out here, the greatest tactical shop on the face of the earth, Agency Arms, Fire Clean, Red Hill Tactical, Tough Products, ISM Weapon Systems, Filster, just great people that have supported me trying to get to me the next level, spread the good word about people protecting themselves and getting some training in, so.
Awesome.
Gotcha. If people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, couple of ways. Modern Samurai Project across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You know, I pretty much friend everybody as long as you're not a tool. I'll accept your friend request. So Scott Jedlinski, Jedlinski on Facebook. You can find me on Primary and Secondary. all the time. I'm just a regular dude, just reach out. One of the things my dad always said to me is, for every fool you suffer, he'll make 3 more. So if someone
that's an interesting saying.
Yep. If someone reaches out to me for help, I'm going to do my best to keep you from being a fool. Right. So
cool. That's awesome, man.
It's a good deal. All right, Scott. Well, we're going to close out the interview, but we really appreciate you coming on. We really appreciate sharing your knowledge. You're a good dude, man. You're an awesome dude, and we really appreciate from our end, the law enforcement end, we really appreciate what you do for our brothers and the knowledge that you give them. So, again, man, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too, man. And that being said, any LE out there that wants to know more about us, just reach out to me, man. I will give you more than what you're asking for, right? Because it's all about everybody getting home safe to their family. So I'm here to help.
Absolutely.
Yep. Awesome.
We really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, that was Mr. Scott the Jedi Jedlinski. We super appreciate him being on the show. And as always, if you'd like to look us up, you can find us on Instagram at Street Warrior Radio, Facebook at Street Warrior Radio, and Twitter at Street Warrior Radio, which is STRT, the word warrior. Radio is spelled RDIO. On the interwebs, you can always find us at our website at streetwarriorradio.com. And you can find us on most podcasting apps, especially iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. We also have audio episodes available on YouTube, plus a couple of other original videos. If you have any questions, you can submit those questions, comments, and your war stories. Please send us your war stories. We love hearing them. We've got a lot of episodes written upcoming that are going to include war stories. You can send those along with those questions and comments to streetwarriorradio.com/contact or on that email at info@streetwarriorradio.com. And of course, if you'd like to, you can always support us by liking, following, rating, reviewing us on our social media and podcasting platforms. You can also go to streetwarriorradio.com, click on the Amazon link to do your Amazon shopping. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just one little extra 1-second step you got to take. Coming soon, our Warrior store will be up and running, hopefully in the near future. And as soon as we get that information, we will let you know. And with that, I'd like to give our gratitude and thanks to the men and women of our armed forces who selflessly sacrifice their time and serve us overseas, fighting the good fight, keeping us free, making all of this possible, making this podcast, our way of life, everything possible. To the men and women of the nation's first responders, our police, fire, paramedics, on all levels, we appreciate you. We love you for what you do, keeping us safe here at home. And to the families of our military and first responders, your sacrifices and everything that you go through is noted. We appreciate you. And you're just not, I don't think you're just ever appreciated enough. And to everyone else out there that makes the world go round, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for supporting us and listening. We got a lot of exciting things coming up. Stay tuned. And with that, Street Warrior Radio is out of service.